Hi there, today I'm going to show you how to make iced puff pastry. And the first thing you do is cut up your butter and get your ice cubes ready, and you actually freeze your butter for about 30 minutes minimum. So we're going to just pop all the ingredients straight into the Thermomix bowl. This is quite a lot of butter. This is such an easy recipe. This recipe originated with superkitchenmachine.com, and I have tweaked it slightly just for you. So here we go. We're going to go 7 seconds on speed 7. And so what we have now is going to be a breadcrumb consistency. So I'm going to show you that. And there you can see we've got sort of a nice buttery breadcrumb consistency. And that's all the little pieces of ice and butter all chopped up quite finely. So now we're going to go in reverse, and that is just to release all the particles that are around the blade. So we're going to go 5 seconds on reverse. And you can hear what that's doing. And then we're going to add the vodka. So I don't add vodka because I enjoy it. I'm adding vodka because when you cook alcohol, and this is pretty, high volume alcohol, when you cook the alcohol in the puff pastry, it will evaporate and it will give you a really beautiful, lighter puff, more layers, and just a crunchier result. So it's 2 tablespoons of vodka. So, 2 tablespoons for the bowl, and that's it, right? None for you. Here we go. And you can use water. If you didn't want to use vodka, you can use water for this, iced water, but you will get a better result with vodka. Okay, so now we're going to knead it for 3 minutes. Very easy, that simple. Then I'm going to show you how to roll it. Okay, so we are done with our kneading, and what you have here is very small pieces of dough, like little pea size or smaller pieces of wet dough. So we're going to tip that out. And then we're going to work it until it all comes together into one big sheet of pastry. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on there just so that we will pull it together. Now, as I said, the ratios of fat to flour are quite high. It's almost identical. You knew that about me, right? So we're just going to pull it together and add in a bit more flour. You don't want to go crazy with how much flour you add, because you don't want to end up with a different ratio of pastry, fat to flour pastry. You want as much butter as you can. It's a good idea to have one of these spatulas. I sell them in my online store because it's silicone, and as the mat as well. The mat will help you pull it together, the bread mat, without actually touching it, because some people have hot hands. I don't, as it happens, but some people have hot hands, and that will affect the pastry in the end. I have had people ask me about gluten-free puff pastry, and they have done this recipe with some success, but I have to say that ideally you kind of need the gluten. Work out your frustrations here. Get that rolling pin. Give it for the team. Okay, so start rolling. You'll find that the pastry is quite mottled, and that's because we've got lumps of butter and lumps of ice in there, and that's what you want. Because they're going to fight against each other once they hit the heat of the oven, and that's what creates your layers of puff as well. And then kind of keep it as tidy as you can. It's not about being OCD, not completely anyway. It's just easier to work if you keep the edges tidy. And then I'm going to fold it. So the folding is how we get layers as well. The more you fold it, the better your layers will be, the more layers you'll have. So we're just going to bring it in. I'm just going to lengthen it slightly into the rectangle shape. And we're going to laminate it by pulling it over. You can see a layer there, and over again. Seal the ends, and then that's it. We start rolling again. Bring your ends in, turn it so that the fold is to you and the outside edges are open, the open edges. And then we're going to keep doing that, but I'm going to let it rest before we continue. So it goes in the fridge to rest. Okay, so I'm going to now roll the dough again. It's rested for quite some time in the fridge, and I suggest that you do this about 4 or 5 times throughout the period of preparing the pastry. This is sort of a base recipe, and I'll refer to this recipe throughout my Insider Club. So from time to time I'll say, come across and make this, and this is a base recipe for several other recipes that you will need it for in the future. So we've got a rectangle, we're just going to roll it. It should start to come together really well as a sheet of pastry. You can add flour, as I said earlier. You just need to sort of, you know, shake it on, shake it off, do a Taylor Swift on it. So we're creating another rectangle that we can fold, and our open edges are to my right and my left. And you just roll it over like folding a letter in an envelope, push it down gently, and again this way, so that you've got the fold, and then turn it, seal the edges, and then roll again. And if you do this about 3 or 4 times per session between resting, you'll have lots and lots of layers, and that's what we're after. And this is called laminating or folding. So again, it's starting to stick. As soon as it sticks, you can add some flour, or you can put it back in the fridge. So if it's a hot day and you're trying to do this, potentially you might have to return it to the fridge a little more frequently than otherwise if it was a colder day, because of course the butter will melt. So again, we're going for our rectangle. And keeping it as neatly in that rectangle shape as you can. And again, over, seal it, and again, seal it. So this way, you're getting lots and lots of layers. And you just keep doing that until you've got a beautiful piece of pastry. So at the end of your rolling and laminating time, you should be able to roll it into the shape that you're going to use for whatever dish you're creating. Today we're going to do a couple of things later on, but if you're going to keep this and use it, you know, tomorrow or the next day, I suggest rolling it into the shape that you are keen to use it for, and then freeze it as that, in that shape. Or you can freeze it like this. I don't recommend that. It's a bit harder to work with, takes longer to thaw out. Roll it into a sheet like you purchase a commercial sheet of puff pastry, and then freeze it like that. Layers of paper between, and you're good to go. And it's pretty flash pulling out your own puff pastry. Once you've done this recipe, you'll find it very hard to purchase bought puff pastry. Anyway, good luck. I hope it works for you. See you next time.